This truth could be the ultimate red pill, the one that challenges the whole narrative. Just as Trump's election in 2016 saw ISIS crumble almost overnight, his 2024 win appears set to put an end to the war in Ukraine, stopping it in its tracks before it can turn into World War III that the elite are desperate to ignite. The real question is, just far how down the rabbit hole are you willing to go? Are you ready to uncover what Putin has in store for Schwab, Gates, Soros, and the liberal elite in the US, the ones failed in their coup d'etat, the ones who crossed borders while committing atrocities that could well be called crimes against humanity, in clear violation of international law? The globalist cabal are criminals who attempted to take over the world in a coup d'etat, according to Russian President Vladimir Putin, who warned the elite that their new world order has failed and they must pay the price for their crimes against humanity. According to Putin, the cabal's failed coup d'etat directly contravenes international law and places them firmly in the crosshairs of a robust criminal trial aimed at restoring global law and order, not to mention saving humanity from a future of slavery and spiritual impoverishment. For decades, this cabal has flown around the world in private jets, dined at the finest tables, and all the while, they've been pushing an agenda of extreme depopulation. They warn that those who survive will be confined to 50-minute cities, forced into vaccinations, eating bugs, and stripped of basic rights and dignity. Speaking at the Valdai Discussion Club 2 days after the US election, Putin said the elite's halcyon days are behind them, and the heat is about to get cranked up to 11.
To a certain extent, the moment of truth is coming. The previous world order is irreversibly becoming a thing of the past. One could say has become a thing of the past, and the shaping of the new world order is become the scene of uncompromising fight.
The global elite are intent on steering humanity straight into World War III, hoping a new world order will rise like a phoenix from the ashes. The Biden regime played their part perfectly, funneling billions into global conflicts, stoking the fires, and waiting for the powder keg to blow. Unfortunately for the elite, with the election of Trump, the era of global war and conflict is now officially over.
What he said about his desire to rebuild relations with Russia, to facilitate an end to the Ukrainian crisis, I think this deserves attention at the very least, and I would like to take this opportunity to offer my congratulations on his election as President of the United States. And if he does what he has been promising, before the inauguration, if he makes a phone call, if he says, Vladimir, let's meet, I don't think it would be beneath me to call him myself.
The globalist elite have made life hell for the majority since George H.W. Bush announced the New World Order in 1991. Their crimes surpass even the darkest moments of the 20th century. And the majority of the population was for years successfully brainwashed through a sophisticated psyop involving Obama's amendment of the Smith-Mundt Act and the Mockingbird media.
In 2013, it was legalized in the United States to propagandize its citizens. What? Like, that's some scary third world stuff going on. That's the kind of stuff that people use to topple governments, to take away freedoms.
Yes, you heard that right. Almost a decade ago, propaganda was legalized in the United States with the passage of the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, which you've probably never heard of. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act was buried in the 2012 National Defense Authorization Act for a good reason, because it repealed the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act, which authorized the State Department and the mainstream media to engage in propagandizing foreign countries, but it prohibited releasing that same propaganda in America for public consumption. This prohibition was lifted when the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act was signed into law by Obama.
Very simply, Obama gave it a reboot in 2012. So, no matter how outrageous the propaganda may be, it's completely legal.
Propaganda, in other words, a false narrative for whatever specific purpose, is now much, much easier to perpetrate on the people.
The desperate attempt to brainwash the American public failed, and now our abusers have been backed into a corner. Their crimes have been exposed, and they are begging for mercy. They want us to forgive and forget. But that's not going to happen. It really isn't. The people have woken up. And since they woke up and realised that COVID pandemic was created intentionally by the elites, and the 2020 election was brazenly stolen, the people are rising up and demanding justice.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights. And I promise you that. So think long and hard before you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights.
At the international level, the people have a powerful ally in Vladimir Putin, who is determined to haul the cabal into the dock to face justice for their crimes. It's worth keeping in mind that we've been here before, when the Nazi leadership of the Third Reich were put on trial at Nuremberg. In all, 199 defendants were tried, 161 were convicted, and 37 were sentenced to death for crimes against humanity and war crimes. But the death of these key players of the Third Reich did not mean an end of Nazism. It was simply a ruse for the elite to retain control. Ultimately, the Nazis just rebranded and tried again under a new disguise. Nazi scientists and doctors were exported to the United States, and Europe was overrun by globalist organizations featuring children and grandchildren of the Nazi leadership. Schwab, Soros, and EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen are just a few examples of globalist leaders with direct ties to the Nazi leadership that was supposedly eradicated at Nuremberg. Putin has always seen through the disguise and recognized the global elite for what they really are: reanimated Nazis, determined to destroy nations from the inside, with policies that entail child sex trafficking, child mutilation, forced transgender education, CRT, and the worship of Satan in all institutions. All so that they can achieve their sick vision of a new world order and global government. If a man can be measured by his enemies, Putin seems to be doing something right. Far-left globalist billionaire George Soros has complained that Putin is thwarting the New World Order from fulfilling its agenda. High praise indeed. Before his death, Jacob Rothschild also singled out Putin, complaining bitterly about the Russian president's resolve in kicking the central banking cartel out of Russia and dismantling the New World Order. Besides kicking out Soros and Rothschild, Putin banned GMOs, banned Bill Gates, and then issued an arrest warrant for him, fought cultural Marxism, and built over 15,000 churches during an era when Christianity is in decline in Western nations. He has also encouraged families to have more children, banned transgender propaganda to children, and called out the WF's normalization of paedophilia, declaring it the ultimate destruction of the family, designed to destroy all cultures and national identity. This is the man we're supposed to consider an enemy. The global elite despise Putin because he defies their social agenda, while refusing to adopt their economy-wrecking policies. Between 1994 and 2014, Russia's GDP grew tenfold, and its world rank surged from 22nd to 8th. Russia's debt-to-GDP ratio fell from 100% in 1999 to 17% in 2016. Foreign reserves grew from virtually nothing to the 6th largest in the world. Gold reserves grew to become the 6th largest in the world as well. In other words, Putin made Russia great again. This is why his approval rating is still over 80%. But he's not finished yet. Putin has long promised to destroy the New World Order, and to do so, he knows the time has come to cut the head off the snake.